People ask me all the time, oh, Glenn, how can you be so negative about the economy? You know, they'll see certain things like a jobs report number, for instance. Oh, look at this. It's positive. It's great. Yeah, it is. But what you have to understand is my perfect storm theory. I like to call this one my perfect pie theory. Our economy is sliced up into a bunch of different parts, just like a pie. There's a slice of the state economies, the county economies, the city economies. Even your own household is a mini economy. They're all connected and they're all a mess. We can withstand trouble in one slice, even a few slices. But the real story is we cannot withstand trouble in all of them. And I believe that's the perfect storm situation that we're in. One of the areas of the economy pie that... I'm hungry halfway through this story. One of the areas of the economic pie that seems to be immune from trouble so far has been our cities. But now that is changing. Vallejo, California, facing a major financial crisis. A crisis that could make them the first California city to ever declare bankruptcy. Vallejo got into trouble the same way Washington did. They overspent. They ignored all of the warning signs. Trouble ahead. No, nothing. They tried to fix it with scotch tape and, just ignoring it, hoping it would go away. And the politicians knew what they were doing when they were doing it. Now, unless drastic cuts are made quickly, the town is expected to run out of money by the end of April. They face a $6 million deficit, and they also owe a crippling $135 million in retiree benefits. Problem probably sounds familiar if you know anything about our country's Social Security debt. Vallejo is really a microcosm for everything that we're facing on a national level. And recovery in both cases is going to require tough decisions and sacrifices that previously would have been unthinkable. Sacrifices like laying off city employees, closing firehouses on a rotating schedule, restructuring union contracts for police and firefighters, some of whom make over $200,000 a year because of overtime. All of these contracts eat up 80% of Vallejo's general fund. And now they have the housing market collapse. That results in less property tax revenue. The city, just like our country, is in way over its head. But are they alone? You know, if there's one thing that we've learned from the credit crisis so far, it should be that what seems like an isolated problem in one small area never is an isolated problem in one small area. It always spreads. Our economy is tied together like a spider web. So while Vallejo may be the first city to go public with their problems, I can almost guarantee you it's not going to be the last. And who do you think is going to end up being responsible for all of that debt? Alistair Barr is a finance reporter for Market Watch. Alistair, the home prices in Vallejo, California, down 21%. Property taxes down, city spending was up, inflation is up. This is a disaster.
Yeah, it is, and Vallejo is going to have to take some very drastic steps, as you pointed out. Very simple choice here: raise taxes or cut spending, or do a combination of both. Both are going to be very painful and very hard to do.
Let's talk a little bit broader. I'm going to go back to Vallejo here in a second, but let's go a little bit broader. You say cut pensions. They have firefighters. They have 10 firefighters. Those 10 firefighters making over $2 million a year. It's not being run like a business by any stretch of the imagination. At some point, somebody had to say, come on, 10 firefighters, $2 million for the budget. We can't afford that. You've got somebody up in, where is it, San Francisco that is, what is he, a bus washer? He washes buses. Right? And he makes 200 grand.
Well, the problem here is the union contracts and the overtime that they're paid. And the firefighters union in particular in Vallejo is saying that they work overtime because it's very lowly staffed, which is kind of a vicious circle, really. You don't pay, you pay people too much, you don't have enough money to hire other people, therefore staffing is low, so people have lots of overtime. And the crucial point here is that Vallejo has to find some way to renegotiate those contracts. And part of the reason they're considering bankruptcy is actually that going into bankruptcy will maybe give them the right to actually override those contracts and change some of that compensation structure without agreeing to the unions.
Alistair, here's why I'm so concerned about the economy, and tell me where I'm wrong. You might have these union contracts and you say, okay, that's one thing, or the spending or the property taxes are down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you also have municipal bonds, you have auction rate securities, you have hospitals in the University of Pittsburgh. Their interest rate on their loans last week went from 4% to 15%. The Port Authority here in New York, their interest rate on their loans went from 4% to 20%. This is a storm that crosses all of it. How do you get out when you've already thrown, like your public schools like Vallejo did, they threw them to the state. So now the state's paying for that. It all ends up at the federal budget eventually, doesn't it?
Well, I was talking to another California city treasurer, and she was saying that she'd be very surprised if the state of California actually stepped in to pay some of the essential things that Vallejo has to pay for. I think it comes down to a very simple point, Glenn, which is that you get what you pay for, and so there are going to have to be big cuts in Vallejo and other city budgets, and there are going to have to be some increases in taxes. And the problem is there with your point about how all these things feed into one another. If you have a lot of states around the country and cities around the country cutting budgets, that's not going to help with an economic recovery at all.
Alistair, thank you very much. Now,